I'm Tommy Baker. I am the owner and operator at Half Brothers Media with my brother Jeremy. So we formed the company in 2018, like January of 2018. It's been freelancing for about a year before that, but it's my brother, so we've been working together, our whole lives, essentially. I didn't even know I was interested in video until I was 25 plus years old. Like I spent 15 years managing restaurants. So like I always say, in my past life, I was a bar manager. And I was a musician. I played in a lot of bands, which was kind of my creative outlet. Roughly 2007, I had some friends invite me to be a part of a short film, and I just kind of fell in love with filmmaking. And it was like a light bulb went off. Like I can shoot from all these different angles, it creates something different. And just that feeling, we were shooting stuff on Hi8 DV and using 2 VCRs to cut, just to make like little music videos and goofy skits. And we just fell in love with it. So somewhere 2010, 2012-ish, I did my first paid gigs. And it was still kind of a hobby at that point, but I was thinking about it more. And then it just, and another opportunity came, and I did that for a few years, and then in 2017 I quit my job, and I've never looked back. Yeah, so Jeremy Fothergill, my brother, we're half brothers, so same mom, different dads. He was there kind of from the beginning. We made some short films like 2006, 7, 8. And he was away at college. He would come home and we would make something together. And then finally, when I quit my job and started freelancing, my brother and I were kind of competing with each other. We had even in the 48-hour film festival, Jeremy and I would have 2 different teams. So it was like brother versus brother. And at some point, we realized, like, why are we competing with each other? We need to collaborate. And since then, it's really worked out well. And we've even found that we have different skill sets, where I'm kind of more fall into like the cinematography and that side of it, and the technical side, which he does too, and then he falls a lot more into like the producing side and managing the business. And so it just is a really good synergy between us. My brother and I both around the same time started working on goofy stuff. We made a short film together called The Wrong Guy, which I've always kind of considered like my first serious, it's a comedy, but my first real short film, and we probably did that in 2009-ish. So with our business, Half Brothers Media, we really started off doing weddings. So Antonio Pantoja is the single reason why I am still able to freelance and why I'm not working a straight job. He had invited me to do some freelance work for him. We were outside of a venue for this derby party in 2017, and he was like, so do you do this full time? Like, do you have a straight job? And I was like, at the time I didn't, like I was just in between them, and I was like, no, I do this full time. And then so he like kind of had me edit weddings for him to keep me busy, like just so I'd work every week or whatever. And from that I saw how he was shooting the weddings, and that kind of, that was our business for a while. And so we did weddings, and then the pandemic hit. We had done over 100 weddings, and we were just like, I'm done with this. We've shot enough weddings. This isn't why we got in. We want to make movies, really. So post-pandemic, we've done a lot of corporate work, and I love music, so we work with a lot of musical artists. Music videos, EPK stuff. And then recently we've started a series of acoustic session videos, or like field recordings, where instead of soliciting an artist and saying, pay me this to shoot a music video for you, my approach is now like, hey, come down here, like talk to me about these songs, play a couple songs for me, we'll throw it on our channel, and it's like good for everybody. So we've been doing that, and we just do like your corporate gigs, interview stuff. And we're kind of in a second transitionary phase now, where we're trying to essentially figure out how to go full-time into making films and get slowly away from like the corporate paid stuff, and like, find investors and actually we've made a couple features, but actually do that consistently and try to make some money off of it. Feature film wise, I released a documentary called Facing East in 2020, the same week the pandemic hit, March of 2020. And that is about the most overburied and grossly abused cemetery in America, which is right here in Louisville, Kentucky, Eastern Cemetery. And shortly after that, we made a drama called This Must Be It, which I wrote and directed, and that is finished in post-production, and we're just trying to figure out how to release it. So we had hoped it would have honestly already been out a year or so ago, if not more. So we definitely plan on making more features as soon as possible. The timeline and trajectory of that I don't know specifically, but I have a stack of scripts at home. So yeah, we hope to be shooting something this year in 2024 and probably releasing something in 2025. Right, so just camera brands in general is a great question, and I'm not going to give the answer that most people want to hear. Everybody loves Sony FX right now. They're incredible cameras, but I'm a Canon guy. I'm just still holding out for Canon to put out something good since after the C70. I'm a huge Red fanboy, right? But that wasn't the case when we bought the Komodo. It was just a 6K camera that had 16-bit color and shot RAW that we could get in our price range, and everybody was raving about it. And since purchasing it, and also I've worked with some other Red cameras and in that ecosystem since then, and I'm just in love with how you color grade Red. I'm in love with the way that Red code works. If you're coming up and you want a good camera at a decent price, I don't think that the Red Komodo X is now the newer one in the line. I don't think you can beat that. And I love my Red Komodo OG. It's my baby for sure. I wish I got to shoot with it more, but the corporate jobs that pay us good money, it would make no sense to take a Komodo in there. But I have that, and I've got some vintage lenses, and that's what I use to shoot anything artistic or narrative, or if I'm working with artists, and I love the look I get out of it. And yeah, I mean, we just kind of use the C-Series Canon cameras for interviews and long form stuff, and then we run around with the 1DX on a gimbal and get B-roll, and that's 90% of how I shoot corporate work. Just like generally in the vintage lens topic, that was some of the first lenses we bought because we couldn't afford Canon L lenses, starting off several years back. And you could get an M42 Yashica for $50 on eBay, and it looked gorgeous. And I fell in love with that sort of old, I want to say filmic. You're not shooting on film, but it definitely has a different aesthetic. That it gets somewhere in the world of cinema lenses, but also has like a retro vibe to it. So I take inspiration from a ton of places. I obviously do this because I love movies and TV so much. There's definitely two answers to that question. I mean, to be a filmmaker and a writer, I'm inspired by so many people, but like the Coen brothers, Paul Thomas Anderson. I'm a big 90s kid, like Quentin Tarantino, directors like Ari Aster. I'm blown away by what all of them do. I feel like I'll never be able to compete on that level. But even more specifically, I'm also inspired by the filmmakers here in Louisville that I've gotten to work with. Guys like Herschel Zahn, and I mentioned Antonio Pantoja earlier, who I have my whole career. I thank him for everything I'm doing right now still. The people I work alongside sometimes inspire me as much or more than the great filmmakers that made me want to get into this, because it's like, holy shit, he's actually doing that, and I want to be doing that, and I'm actually seeing it happen. That's real. This is a real thing. It's happening right next to me. One of the hardest things about being an artist and having an artistic profession that you're trying to make money from, remaining inspired and not letting it become a grind. People warned me when I got into videography that it would become just like a regular job, and that's true. Through that grind of editing and through going and shooting plays and stuff that you just don't really want to be there shooting, and boring training videos, and I love all those clients, but there is stuff that is less fun to shoot and stuff that's more fun to shoot. But you just have to remain inspired. I do that by watching content and enjoying the great artists I love, but I also do that by looking around at the people I'm working with and just being like, Tommy in 2015 would be blown away by what Tommy's in 2024 as we speak right now is doing. And it feels normal and every day because I've been doing it every day for however many years, but it still is just the dopest thing to be on set and to be making movies. The rule of thumb that I have heard and that I think is most people know is film is a medium that is movement. There's always movement. So either your subject is moving or your camera is moving. I'm shooting the guy's watching his daughter get married, or it's the first look and there's tears in his eyes and it's the dad, and but he's just staying there. So like if I just shoot him and hold the camera, it's not going to be that interesting. There's emotion in the shot, but we can add more emotion to that. So I'm going to do a little parallax or maybe a low push or something, because he's a subject that is not moving. So I'm gonna move the camera, and so that little parallax might even, like, maybe it kind of slowly reveals his face and we see the emotion, and it actually adds to that. If we're talking about, I'm shooting a ballet dancer and she's running across the frame and jumping, I don't need to move the camera. She's doing that for me. I might give it a slow push, or there could be something that you could add that could work there, but the frame is already frenetic. It already has that energy in it. And I'm a big fan of static shots and of not moving the camera, but there has to be some movement in that frame in order for that to work. You know, if you watch like Kubrick, I think he's the ultimate master of movement and composition. And anytime he will have a subject that's not doing much, but we need to feel what they're going through, the camera will slowly push on them, which is a classic shot. He does that so well. When I'm pushing in on a subject, it's like a child running into his mother's arms. It's a good feeling. When I'm pulling back from a subject, it's a child being ripped away from their mother. So that's a bad feeling. That's a feeling of loss and of being alone. That frame is getting wider, and you can see how alone that subject is. So there's so many elements that go into how am I going to motivate this shot. And it's really different going from videography and shooting B-roll to motivating a shot within a film or a narrative piece. It's kind of two sides of your brain in a way, but I always stick with that same rule of thumb. Either the subject is moving or my camera is moving. My favorite film is The Big Lebowski. I absolutely love it. It's just silly, and it's a goofy farce, but it has heart, and it's shot beautifully, and Jeff Bridges absolutely kills it. And I've probably seen that movie 250 times, and I'll probably watch it 250 more. And I love those types of films, you know, Inherent Vice, Under Silver Lake, any kind of a weird, wacky, dark detective story that's my genre for sure.